All right, we're going to go through the chapter 12 DI stations. That means digging a little bit deeper investigation here. And we're going to go over a couple of the questions here. And sorry I didn't put together a nice fancy PowerPoint, but this should help you at least understand how to do these problems. So, number one, a bridge over a river is built in the form of a semi-ellipse, the top half of an ellipse. Suppose the bridge is placed on a coordinate plane with the x and y in feet and the center of the ellipse at the origin. If the bridge is 36 feet wide and the height of the bridge at its highest point above the river is 14 feet, find the coordinates of the vertices and co-vertices of the ellipse whose top half is the bridge. Explain your answer. Well, let's first draw a diagram of this. So here is my semi-ellipse. Here is the center of the ellipse, halfway between the two sides. And it's 36 feet wide, so that would be 18 feet this direction and 18 feet this direction. And it's 14 feet above the water, so it'd be 14 feet up here. And if we completed the ellipse below, then that would be negative 14 here. But we're just looking at the top half. So your vertices are at plus and minus 18, 0, and your co-vertices are at 0, plus and minus 14. So the explanation of this is since the bridge is 36 feet wide and the endpoints are plus or minus 18, 0, the co-vertices are 0, plus or minus 14, since the horizontal axis is longer. So I'll give you a second to copy that down. And you can always come back and look at that. All right, let's move ahead to part B. Write the standard equation for the ellipse whose top half is the bridge. Well, if the x dimension, the vertex is 18, and in the y direction, the vertex is 14, well, we're going to square those. So x squared over 18 squared plus y squared over 14 squared equals 1. And we could write that as x squared over 324 plus y squared over 196 equals 1. So hopefully you remember how to do the equation of an ellipse. All right, we'll move on here. Find the height of the bridge 5 feet from the bank of the river and explain your answer. Well, 5 feet from the bank of the river, if I'm looking in the positive x direction, that's going to be 18 feet minus 5 feet. Because, well, 18 would be all the way from the center to the right vertex, but we're going to be 5 feet in from that. So that is going to be my x value. My x value is going to be 13. Now I'm going to use the equation for the ellipse when x is equal to 13. So rewriting this equation, y squared is equal to 1 minus 13 squared, which is 169 over 324. And then I'm going to multiply by 196. Take the square root of that. So y is going to be the square root, and we're going to take the positive square root. Taking the negative square root doesn't really make sense. Okay, we're not going to talk about a negative distance, so we're just going to talk about a positive distance above water. So that's going to be the square root of 93.7654, which turns out to be approximately 9.6883 feet above the water. Now, I didn't write out the explanation, but kind of explained it before. You're 5 feet in from the right-hand side of the bridge, and you're going to calculate the y value at that x value of 13. All right, I'll give you a second to write that down. All right, we'll move on. Consider the conic section with the equation 4x squared minus 9y squared minus 32x plus 28 is equal to 0. Using the discriminant, classify the conic section. Explain your answer. Well, the coefficient of the x squared is my a value, that's 4. There is no xy value, that would be my b, and that's 0. My coefficient of my y squared value is negative 9, that's my c value. Now I can figure out the determinant by b squared minus 4ac is equal to, well, b is 0 minus 4 times negative 9 equals a positive 144. And since that is positive, and also we could tell that x is positive, y is negative, we could tell that that's going to be a hyperbola. Now, describe how to transform the equation in part A to standard form of the equation for the conic, then write the equation of the conic in standard form. Well, how do we do that? By completing the square for x. Okay? We don't have to do it for y because there is no uh, y squared, because there is no y value there. So we can rewrite the equation like this. I'm going to gather my x terms together. So 4x squared minus 32x, and I'm going to pull out and factor out a 4, so that leaves me with an x squared minus 8x. Now to complete the square, I take half of negative 8, which is negative 4, and I square it, which becomes positive 16 is equal to, minus my 9y squared, okay, is equal to, and I'm going to have 28, negative 28 plus 4 times 16, because we added it to this side. So I'm going to take the negative 28 on this side, and I'm going to add 64 to it. So negative 28 plus 64 gives me the 36. Okay, I kind of condensed steps there, but that's how I got 36. Negative 28, putting it on this side, okay, plus 64 that I added to this side. I'm going to have to add to this side. So now I can rewrite this as y minus 4 squared, that's this term, minus y squared. Now I'm going to divide this whole thing by 36. So 4 divided by 36 is 1/9. Negative 9 divided by 36 is negative 1/4. And 36 divided by 36 is 1. So there is my equation of the hyperbola. And we can easily find the lines of symmetry. X equals 4, that would be where this value is 0, and y equals 0, where this value would be 0. All right, continuing on. If the sign of negative 9y squared is reversed, in other words, positive 9y squared in the above equation, identify the conic section represented by the new equation. Well, that would be an ellipse, because x squared would be positive, y squared would be positive. In this case, it would be an ellipse. And we would have the same lines of symmetry. All right, last one here. The range of a radio station is bounded by the circle with the equation 5x squared plus 5y squared equals 2,125. A stretch of highway near the station is modeled by the equation 16 times y minus 15 equals x squared. At what points does a car on the highway enter or exit the broadcast range of the radio station? Well, what we're going to do is we're going to take this value of x squared and plug it into the first equation. So I'm going to take 16 times y minus 15 and substitute that x squared into the first equation. So I have 5 times 16 times y minus 15 plus 5y squared equals 2125. Now I'm going to solve for y. Once I solve for y, then I can solve for x. So here I've got 5 times 16 times y is 80y. 5 times 16 times negative 15 is negative 1200 plus 5y squared equals 2125. Combining terms and moving things around, I've got 5y squared plus 80y, bringing the 2125 to this side and subtracting it from negative 1200, I get negative 3325 equals 0. Now I could use the quadratic equation to figure this out, or first thing I'm going to do is divide by 5, because I noticed that I can divide by 5. So I've got y squared plus 16y minus 665. I should have an equals 0 there. Now I could, again, use a quadratic equation, or I could just uh, fiddle around with this and figure out what the factors of 665, negative 665 that add up to 16 are. And I did that, and I figured out that it's negative 19 and positive 35. So I've got y minus 19 is equal to 0, and y plus 35 is equal to 0. Now we're going to have to do a little bit more work on the bottom of the page here in just a second, but I'll let you get caught up this far. All right, so y is either equal to 19 or y is equal to negative 35. So if y is equal to 19, let's use that second equation. This will be easier to figure out than using that first equation. We could have used either one, but this one's easier. So I've got y is equal to 19. So 19 minus 15 times 16, take the square root of that. That's the square root of 64, gives me plus or minus 8. So these are my 2 points that where the car would enter the circle of the radio station either at negative 819 or positive 819. Now, what about that other answer that we had, y equals negative 35? Well, if I plug that into this equation, x equals square root of 16 times negative 35 minus 15, well, that is going to be negative, so that's going to be not a real solution. So it's an extraneous answer. So our only answer here is negative 819 and 819. All right, so that'll help you with some of the questions that you're going to have on the study guide. So good luck with that. And that's where I'm going to finish for now.